What's going on, hustlers? Back at you guys with another video. So today we're going to be talking about the 5 fastest government contracts to win. So these are going to be different types, and these aren't going to be different product markets. These are literally just going to be different kinds of contracts, like different classifications of contracts, different ratings of contracts, different people that are issuing the contracts, and then contracts that fall, or I'm sorry, solicitations. What I really should be saying is solicitations that fall underneath certain umbrellas. So make sure you guys are liking, commenting, subscribing. You guys got to be sharing the videos, please. Thank you guys so much for getting me to 2,000 subscribers. But let's go straight into it. So let me share my screen here. Boom. All right, let's rip it. Slideshow. All right, cool. We rocking and rolling. 5 fastest government contracts to win. All right, number 1, IDIQ, indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity contract. All right, also known as an IDC, could also be a long-term contract. Now, I want to clarify how a long-term contract is, or I'm sorry, an IDIQ is a long-term contract, but not all long-term contracts are IDIQs, all right? The same way that a square is a rectangle, but a rectangle is not a square. And the difference for that being, all right, some long-term contracts can be for a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years even, right? And then the amount that the government is requesting is just going to be unspecified, and it's just a blanket amount, and the government says we can make as many purchases for as many units of these items up until this dollar amount, right? Commonly with DLA, you'll see 250,000, $250,000, right? But you could also have a long-term contract where it's 5 years, and then every single month over the course of those 5 years, we are going to pay you $80,000 for this scheduled maintenance, right? Whereas every single IDIQ is going to be, the government says this contract is valid for a specific amount of time, and then over this duration of time that's been set forth, we are then going to place as many orders as we'd like to meet our needs until our needs have been met, right? Now, why is an IDIQ the fastest kind of contract to win, right? Or one of the fastest kind of contracts to win, right? The first of which being, the government loves these, right? Because the government basically gets to lock you in for a fixed price. Oh, and then they set the duration of time, right? So however long the government decides they want to spread the contract out for, that's how long you're agreeing to pay that price. So they jump on opportunities whenever they see companies bidding on IDIQs. And sometimes they're good, right? But one of the issues that you could have with these is the manufacturer gives you a price and it's valid in 2024, but then DLA wants to make their purchases in 2025, and then the manufacturer's like, oh, well, the price changed, right? So you have to get your quotes for these specifically based on the duration of the contract and ask your vendor, hey, in the event that they place an order in 2025, can you honor this price that you're giving me in 2024 kind of thing? But the government loves these, and then people misbid these all the time, and you are certifying when you submit a bid on a solicitation that the information that you're providing, you know, to be true and just, right? And the prices that you're providing are going to be accurate. So even though you mess up by you submitting that bid, you're basically telling the government, like, yeah, I did my due diligence on this. So they jump on opportunities for IDIQs, right? And then it's a great way to build past performance, long-term relationships, all that good stuff, right? Number 2 is a DX rated contract, all right? Now, what would be an example of a DX rated contract? So on the top right corner of DLA solicitations, I can't speak for any other solicitations. On the top right corner, you'll see the rating, and it'll say DO or DX, right? Now, DO is standard rating, meaning standard priority. But whenever you see a DX rated solicitation, so it's like DX and then the abbreviation is, I don't know, something else, right? And I'm gonna share an example of that with you guys right here. But whenever you decide to look at a solicitation and then you see the rating, which let's look here at the downloads. I'm gonna give you guys an example of a download right now. Let's see. And I'm gonna share my screen with you guys. Let's pull up a DX rated. Let's just do the entire screen. Bang. All right. So you come here, and then if you look on the top right here, it says rating, right? Certification for national defense, right here, right? This is the rating. DO is standard priority, standard rating. Whenever you see DX, that means it's a higher priority. It means the government needs it urgently. It could be because we're in a conflict. It could be because something is out of service, like a platform or an end user needs it really badly, or somebody's about to get deployed. And then the government is like, prior to this deployment, we've got to get this fixed, right? So whenever you see a DX, Delta X-ray right here, that means it's a very fast priority. So the government's going to prioritize fulfilling this contract. And I don't want to say they're going to take whatever they can get. That's not what I'm saying, but that's what I'm saying, if you're picking up what I'm putting down, right? So DX rating contracts, those are that's one of the fastest ways that you can win a contract. So if you prioritize those. Let's get back into the slideshow. Number 3, commercial off-the-shelf items. These ones are going to be super easy because the traceability that you're going to have to provide isn't going to be as extensive as a mil-spec item, right? Something that requires a JCP cert, or let's say even if it's not mil-spec, but it's not commercial off-the-shelf, the traceability is going to be a lot harder to get, right? So go check out my recent video prior to this one about the 4 easiest forgotten products to sell to the government. It's literally a whole bunch of stuff that's commercial off the shelf that you can find on the internet, right? The reason COTS are easier is because the traceability requirements are less stringent. You can get your quotes easier, right? You don't have to email anybody. You should be emailing people, but it's not required. You can basically finesse your way into just using the PDF quote. You don't have to call anybody on the phone. The pricing availability is what it is, and then you can just set your quote in dibs, your quote validity to reflect, however long the pricing that's on the website is valid for, right? So if it says pricing is only valid for the next 14 days, you can just set your quote to 14 days of validity, and then DLA will see that, and then if you win it, boom, there you go. You didn't have to call anybody. You just enter your credit card information. There you go. Number 4. So this is an issuing agency, okay? DLA Troop Support is the issuing agency that awards their contracts the fastest in my experience, all right? So my sample size of experience, 130 contracts, over $3 million in contracts. I've won personally, and then I've been an account manager for 2 other companies, done about a little under 30 contracts for 2 other companies, right? So that's my experience. This is my sample size, and DLA Troop Support tends to reply the fastest in terms of like the timetable from when you submit your bid to winning your bid, right? Like a lot of times you'll win stuff within a week, 2 weeks of submitting it. Sometimes you'll even win some stuff the same day. And the reason for that is DLA Troop Support handles most of your like personal hygiene items, like your toiletry items, your sustenance items, right? Like your like beds and stuff like that, TVs, right? So DLA Troop Support takes care of the troops, right? So they want to make sure that the people that are boots on the ground are getting taken care of. So they tend to move very, very quickly in my experience. They move a lot faster than land and maritime or aviation or energy. Not that I'm knocking those guys. Land and maritime and aviation, that's my bread and butter right there. But DLA Troop Support, they move the fastest. And then number 5 is past due solicitation. So this is kind of counterintuitive, right? A solicitation that was scheduled to close, right? It says like on the award by date, and then that date has passed. So it's kind of counterintuitive. It's like, why would the government want to prioritize bidding on something or awarding something that's been sitting there for a while, right? They would have prioritized it then. But it almost makes perfect sense that they're going to try and get the stuff that's late out of the door faster than the stuff that just got issued, right? So when we have our weekly meetings in the Skool community, which by the way is $19 a month, and we have 238 members in there actively, and once it goes to 500 members, the price is going to increase. So it's currently $19 a month. We have our weekly coaching calls every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Join that. $19 a month, cheaper than a Netflix subscription. So much bang for your buck. But we talk about in the Skool community, like different criteria that you want to be looking for solicitations. And ideally what we like is solicitations a couple months past their due date, right? Because that means that contracting officers damn, I would have been so pissed. I had a pen, and I thought I just like wrote on this like white Montclair shirt. I would have been pissed. But, okay, just double checking that I didn't. But solicitations that are past the due date, right? Contracting officers are going to be more motivated to get those off their desk. So those are my 5 fastest types of contracts to win. So I hope you guys check those out and you guys keep that in mind while you're going after it. If you like the content like this, or you felt like it answered any questions that you have, click the subscribe button or check out my channel for other videos on how to win your first government contract, or book a call with the team so we can help you win your first government contract. Not only am I looking forward to your success, I'm absolutely sure of it. Let's go print those dollars, baby.